Now available, the Max Out Mindset Volleyball video series. 7 PowerPoint-driven sessions taught by Dr. Widman covering preparing your mind for battle, max out your mind, and max out your team. An actionable workbook with over 100 questions. Over 45 videos from some of the best athletes, coaches, teams, and leaders in the world. Numerous lessons from some of the best to coach or play in the NFL, NBA, WNBA, and the NCAA to help validate all the Max Out Mindset principles. For more info, visit maxoutmindset.com.
Welcome to the Max Out Mindset podcast with your host, Coach Jess. Jess serves as an elite mindset coach to Division I, high school and club athletes, teaching them elite mindset skills, such as confidence and composure, to put them in the best position to max out when it matters the most.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining the Max Out Mindset podcast. Jess here, and I'm really looking forward to sharing just a moment with you and a conversation that we get to have with our guest, Lindsay Krause. Linz was a part of a huge recruiting class in 2021. She plays for the University of Nebraska. And one of the things I think she can share in depth and why we have her as a guest is because mindset and being an elite athlete are two things that she examples really well. She was also the number 2 recruit in the nation in 2021. Her true freshman season, she made the Big Ten all-freshman team. And so one of the things Linz is going to share is how her volleyball journey started and at what point did she know, hey, I think I have what it takes to be one of the best, to be elite. So Linz, I'm going to let you roll, but really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about your journey and how you got started.
Yeah, so I started out playing rec league volleyball, just really for my town, just a playing rec league when I was 9 years old in the 3rd grade. And I stuck with that for a couple of years. And when I was 10 years old, I actually tried to try out for the local club, and I did not make a team that year. My mom always likes to tell people that story. It's funny. But then my following year, when I was actually 11, which is like the youngest age group for clubs, I tried out and I made the 11s team, which I was elated. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. When I was also young, I also played basketball. I played pretty competitive basketball. And at that time, I thought I was going to go basketball all the way through. I was a 6'10" I'd played volleyball, but I didn't have a lot of experience playing like at the actual club level. And then I also played fast pitch softball, which I really enjoyed softball. And I would say that Nebraska is like one of the only states in the country that plays softball as a fall high school sport. And I would say that if I literally lived in like any other state where softball was played in the spring, I probably would have played softball in high school. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, once I started playing club when I was 11, I played club all the way through. I was very tall, so they kind of just stuck me in the middle. That's what you do when you're young. You get you get thrown into the middle position. And then once I was about 14, was when I kind of realized like my future was gonna be on the outside. So I kind of had to talk with my coaches, really worked with getting to move to that outside position. So that was kind of my 14th, 15th year. I moved to the outside. And at this time, throughout that, I played softball through middle school, like all the way up until high school. And then I played basketball all the way through high school because I really enjoyed the sport. And I wanted to keep playing, even though I knew I was committed to play volleyball. I didn't want to give that up yet. And then as far as your question of when I found out, I kind of like had a switch flip of when I kind of made that conversion from basketball, oh, I think I'm going to go this volleyball route was, I would say I was about 13, 7th grade, maybe 14. And the first actually college attention I had received was from the University of Iowa. This is when the recruiting rules were still, you could like recruit as young as you want, which I think it should still be that way. But that's not what we're talking about. My club that I played for, Premier Nebraska, every year had this like college coaches camp where basically it was like a 3-day camp and a different college coach would come every day and basically just run like a 3-hour camp. It was pretty fun and I really enjoyed it. And one of the days,
Mhm.
Michaela Franklin, who was then an assistant coach at the University of Iowa, I still have this story like ingrained in my brain. I don't remember when it happened, but she had told me this story about how it happened, and she was like, "Oh, like Lindsay, it's different."
Uh-huh.
We were doing this demo of some game, and I don't know, we were just demoing a game. It was like a 5-on-5 game, and then she basically said like, "What's the score?" or something like that, and I like whipped my head around, and I like knew exactly what the score was, and that we were winning, and then that we were gonna win. And so I don't remember that happening, but she told me that story later on when, um, I'd say like a year later, I kind of went on a visit to the University of Iowa. That was the first place I visited. I mean, I didn't really know anything. I thought Iowa was a great program, and Bon Szymanski as their head coach was like had them on the up and up. But so I did go on a visit there. But yeah, she told me that story, and I was like, I mean, I believe that it happened because and that's my personality. Like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna know exactly what the score is. I'm gonna know exactly like how far my team is from winning, and if we're losing, like you guys better get your crap together because we're about to win this thing.
Mhm.
And so I'd say about that time in my life was when the flip switched from I'm going to play basketball to I'm going to play volleyball. It's something I really excel at. I know the motivation I have inside to be the best at whatever I'm doing, whether it is like with the sport I'm doing or what I'm doing outside of athletics. But I'd say when I was about 13 years old is when I kind of realized what I could be if I committed myself to it.
Mhm. I think it's really great you shared. You had a lot of different sports, a lot of different opportunities for your athleticism, right? I don't know if I can imagine you as a softball player, but I bet you are pretty darn good at it. One of the great things, too, is you kept an open mind. Playing on one of the biggest stages at the University of Nebraska, one of the most successful programs, right? Obviously, there's a lot of pressure. So, growing up as a kid, you attended a lot of college games or pro sports games. When did you realize that maybe you could be one of those impact athletes or that Division I volleyball player? When did it become real to you?
I think that became real to me that it was even an idea back when I was 13 and I went on my first college visit and I was like, I'm in the seventh grade. Why am I here right now? And then I went and I'd be at a camp and they'd have me go play with recruits that were older than me and even some of their girls that were on the team right there. And like I competed. Like I wouldn't say easily, but like I competed with them. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, she's a seventh grader. Like I was competing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that when I realized that I wanted to slash I could play on that stage was right when I got that offer to play at Nebraska when I was 14 and it was the summer before my freshman year of high school. I wouldn't say that I didn't think I could do it before then, but it didn't really seem a reality until like it's almost just like that happened. Like I got the offer and then in my brain, like everything clicked. I was like, I I'm not only gonna do it, but like I'm gonna do it. It's like I'm gonna be the best at this. Like I'm committing to this right now. I have the next 4 years of my life to make myself even better to play for this program. I have this phase. I mean, I was 14 years old and already the fans that I had, like it was insane. Like I was like I'm playing like my first game as like a high school freshman at this Bellevue West tournament. And then there's just like people being like, oh, like she's going to Nebraska. And I was just like, yeah, but I'm not that good yet. So like chill. I got another 4 years to get there. But I just remember when that happened, like I had like a click in my brain that I was just like, I'm not gonna go and like be on the team and like there's some girls that like, they go to college and they never really get to play. And some people just do it for the experience and like
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of different people with lots of different reasons of why they play college athletics and every single one of them is valid, but for me I wasn't about to just let myself like just beyond the team. Like if I was going to if I was going to be on a Division 1 athletic team, like
Mhm.
I was going to do it. And like I said, like I was going to be the best. And even if I'm not the best, I'm going to work every day
Mhm.
so that I can compete with the best.
I want to dive a little bit more into confidence. And there happened to be a moment where you just weren't passing, right? The angle wasn't there. You shanked a couple passes and your self talk was terrible. Do you remember that? Do you remember
Oh
that
yeah,
exercise? Okay. So,
it was my whole life
oh,
until like a
okay.
certain, well, yeah, it was
Mhm.
my whole life until I got to be like 18. And then
So,
it got a little better, but then,
so you're telling me
yes.
that you struggled with possible confidence
Oh,
and self talk.
oh, of course. I don't think with confidence, I struggled a little bit, but like my self talk was horrible, horrible. Like it was always like you suck, like you're the worst. Oh, quite a few swear words. Um, yeah, all that jazz. And do I think it motivated me a tiniest bit? Yes, but not as much as it hurt me. Not as much as the negative impact it had on me.
Okay.
Um, and then yeah, when I got to be like 17, 18, I kind of realized I need to get a little bit better at it. And even if I'm lying to myself and I don't believe myself when I'm saying it, just saying it is going to help. Because I don't remember if it was you that told me this or somebody that told me this. I don't know. So many people have been like mentors in like this part of
Mhm.
my life, but they always said talk to yourself, don't listen to yourself. So even if what you're saying you don't believe it at all, like I could, get bounce blocked and be like, I'm the best player ever. That's never going to happen to me again. Set me again. I'm gonna get 10, 15 kills in a row. I don't believe any of that. I don't think I'm never gonna get blocked again. I don't think I'm going to go 15 for 15. But just doing the act of like saying those things out loud, like you can't say things and like think different things at the same time. And so just the act of saying things like that out loud, like positive things out loud, you're keeping yourself from thinking all those negative things inside. So I was always taught to talk to yourself, don't listen to yourself.
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, there's 50,000 thoughts that go through, right, our brain every day.
Hmm.
And who do you listen to the most, right? Um, as an athlete, right, and a huge leader in the sport, typically the average person has three negative thoughts to one positive, and you've learned to flip the switch and do three positives to that one negative, and how you fight that, right? You draw towards your power statements, mantras, right? We believe in the power of the spoken word.
Hmm.
How do you feel self-talk either helps or improves confidence? And maybe take us back to a moment where you really drew on self-talk, and in that big moment, you were able to go do that next best thing, whether that be the kill or the block, or you were able to encourage a teammate. Give us an example.
Yeah. I would say when self-talk really became very pivotal in my career was I started doing like small meditations before I would go out to games because I have something where we always talk about on our team, we either have up regulators or down regulators when it
Mhm.
comes to your energy and what you need in order to go and perform your best. And I am a down regulator because I get just like so excited to go out and play volleyball that like sometimes I get so much energy that it like looks like paralysis. It's like kind of an interesting thing where some people like have so much energy that it's like, oh my gosh, like they're spazzing and everything. Whereas like when I reach a point of energy in my body, like I just like freeze and like I can't move. Um, so I'm what we call a down regulator, where before we go out for games, I need to take all my energy that's like up here. I need to bring it down here. I need to harness it and like put it where I need it, all that jazz. And so then my self-talk is also really important for that because when I do make errors or do
Mhm.
incorrect things, my energy can sometimes, like go all out of control. and I don't have control over it. Whereas composure is the most important thing when it comes to controlling your energy, controlling your self-talk, all that stuff. And that all starts with your breath. And so making sure you're taking deep breaths, making sure you're talking to yourself and not listening to yourself. Always, I mean, I can think of many matches where I've, like gotten blocked once, and then the very next play, I, get a kill. I smash the ball because, like, who cares? Like, that's part of volleyball. I'd much rather get bounce blocked than hit it 10 feet out of bounds. Do I still want to get blocked? Of course not. But it happens. Like, that's volleyball. And so I'm never going to let like one error or other errors like affect my plays going forward. And that's where composure and staying in control of your body and staying in control of your thoughts is all very important. And positive self-talk is just a major part of that, of staying in control and staying composed of the moment.
So you're telling me to stay in the present moment. You've committed to know that you have a choice to be in control of your mind, your breath, which leads to the physical composure, right, at the end. And so there's a lot of things, Linz, that you're unpacking because every athlete wants to be the best. Everybody is looking for that upper edge, to be that 1% better. Tell me about how you handle it.
I would say where pressure for me was felt the most was before I even got to the university, was in high school, when everybody sees you and they see that label of where you're going to college, and that everybody has their opinions of whether or not you were good enough to perform at that university. And even though I feel like I never felt as though I wasn't good enough to go to this university, I definitely had doubts, or even maybe sort of an imposter syndrome of just like, why me? Like, I think I can do it, but like, why me? And I think what brought those to the surface was I'm such a perfectionist that I was so concerned of other people's thoughts of me. And so even if I was playing well or doing good things, I was so caught up with what other people were thinking about what I was doing that I didn't let myself kind of just enjoy the present and what I was doing. I was always concerned about what people were thinking. And I think I really figured out, I don't even know like when it clicked in my life. I would say maybe when I was like 16 or 17 was when I realized like, who cares?
It's pressure. You talk about that, right? You gave others the power, right? For you, you took it back and now you own it. But sometimes the thief, right, to confidence is comparison. Or maybe feeling like I placed my
comparison kills.
Boom. See, and I think,
remember that.
Yeah, you and I can talk about this a lot.
Yeah, we have talked about this a lot, and I've learned it a lot, where comparison kills. Like, there's no need to be comparing constantly of anything. I remember, it's pretty cliche, but when people say the only person you should be comparing yourself to is who you were yesterday. Like, I hold myself to that. Like, there's no, like, if I go to practice, I don't need to be comparing myself to other girls in my position. That's coach's job. That's his job. I have no reason to be comparing myself to them. I should be comparing myself to the person I was yesterday and how I played yesterday, and how am I improved based on who I was last week, and how am I putting myself into a position to compete for a spot. And I should never be cheering for my teammates' errors. That is not what I should be doing. If I'm competing for a spot, you want them to be doing well. You want them to be playing great, because that just has to bring even more out of yourself, right? You don't want to be given a spot just because somebody else didn't earn it. You want to be given a spot because you earned it, because they played their absolute best and you were still better than them. That's how you want to be earning spots. That's the kind of volleyball you want to be playing. And that's just going to build an even deeper relationship between you and your teammates.
Just go off, Linz. Just let her have it.
Yeah.
But I like that you speak with passion. You speak with fire because you believe it 100% inside your heart. And also, I think you're starting to create a culture, an example for all of these younger athletes that want to be just like you. And when I say just like you, they want to freaking max out when it matters most. They want to
Yeah.
build confidence. They want to embrace those big moments and not shy away. We have these conversations all day long. And I remember having a conversation with you, learning how to block out the noise, which could also be comparison. But why trust mindset? Why trust a mentor? What do you look for when you want to get better? And how do you know who to look for to help you in that?
Yeah, I'd say the reason I trust you as much as I do is ever since I guess when my 17th club season, when you are my coach, uh, right off the bat, you make an effort to make it known that you are not there for volleyball. Like, you couldn't care less about the volleyball. Like, you're a volleyball coach, we know that. But like, you couldn't care less about the volleyball. You care about us. And that's the main reason why you're there. And I remember that just had a major impact on me. I already trusted you, I'd say so much just because I gravitate towards adults in general. I think I'm kind of a mature human and therefore I don't connect a lot with people my own age. What's really important for me was every year on my coaching staff for my club season, I always had somebody on the team that I had like that kind of emotional, deeper connection with, because I kind of needed that sort of stability, I think. I think that my teammates gave that to me a little bit. But like I said, I kind of always needed someone like a older figure that can be my mentor, as you said. And I had someone like that on every single coaching staff that I've had. And I feel like that was really important to my success. Um, and I think mentors they're big. Just having somebody in your life that you can go to about anything, literally anything. I text Jess about literally anything because like you need someone in your life that you can just go to. And some people have that as their parents, and some people don't want that to be their parents. And some you need a figure in your life that you can just trust with stuff like this and trust with no matter what you tell them, they might not know or have experience with what you're talking about, but they're going to give honest advice and really try to make your situation better because they love you and they believe in you and they want you to be successful. All of that is just so important, and that's why I think that having that older figure in your life is like vital to success.
Do you believe that you're going to be that example in someone else's life?
I do believe that I have that ability, and I feel like I'm a very compassionate and empathetic person. I have no matter how little I let people say it, see it, I have a really big heart and I really care about everybody. So I do hope that I can be that for some people in the future. I started coaching a club team already, so I hope that they can trust me if they ever need anybody to talk to, that I'm there. But I really do hope that I can be that person for someone.
As
Hmm.
an elite athlete, there's a stigma around emotions, vulnerability,
Yeah.
weakness. How did you overcome that? And what does vulnerability look like for
Um,
you now?
I think vulnerability is not being afraid to tell someone that you're struggling um, with something, no matter what it is. I mean, I got to college, and honestly, I think a big part of my success is I started going to therapy. I think there's a big stigma around therapy and what it does and who it's for and all that stuff. Whereas I had some tough things that I had to go through when I was younger. You know, like my parents got divorced when I was really young. I didn't have the best relationships with my older brother. I kind of had issues with my younger brother and how he kind of got compared to me when he was younger. And then therefore that kind of caused a little bit of a rift in our relationship. But yeah, I kind of had to go through a lot when I was younger, and it kind of affected the way I looked at things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then therefore, I think when I was 18 and I made that decision to go see a psychologist, it's really important to know that things outside of volleyball affect you inside volleyball. And so like don't think that like just because it's not volleyball related, I'm gonna be able to like completely ignore it when I'm playing. Because that's just not the truth. And so it's really important to, it doesn't even have to be a licensed therapist, but just having someone that you can talk things through that happened in your life. Like that's very important. And I think that was a big key to my success is I was able to talk things through if that's what's happened in my life and how I kind of project those things into volleyball.
Mhm.
I got to notice that more. And then therefore I got to see when that happened and therefore control it. Because, you can't control anything until you notice it and really understand why it's happening. Just like the same thing with composure. Like I'm not able to control my energy until I know how my energy works.
Mhm.
I know that I'm a down regulator. So now that I know that about myself, I know how to stay composed. And then therefore, I now know how to control my projections into volleyball and what happens and my attitude and my energy, why that happens
Mhm.
because of things that have happened outside of volleyball. And now that I see it, I'm able to control that.
Let's take it back. You didn't make your 10-year-old, I don't know, club rec team, right? Like you're a multi-sport athlete. You had a severe injury your senior year of high school. You had to play
Mm-hmm.
a completely new position, right? Life at home, there was a lot of changes. You were mindful enough to go back and choose to say, hey, what's going on inside of here? In order for me to be the best on the
Mm-hmm.
volleyball court, I got to be really mindful of what's going on in my life. And you made
Mm-hmm.
the powerful choice. You didn't want to stay in your crap. You made some decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You made some choices. You had some people around you ask for help. I just really want to bring in just all of our listeners that are joining in on this. It's not an easy road. How do you
No,
handle
not at all.
hardship? How do you handle trial? Because did you once think it was going to be easy to get to your success?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everybody does when they first start out. Like they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is gonna be easy. Nothing's gonna go wrong. I'm gonna do this, no problem.
Yeah.
That's just so not reality.
How did you embrace those really tough moments? And was there ever a moment where you're just like, I'm done. I want to quit. This is not whatever I thought. Like, did you ever have those moments where you questioned everything?
I think I did have moments like that, but it was only because I wasn't using my resources, like I said, like talking through like things that was like the crud that was just really going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's going to like suck some days. Like no doubt there are some days where I want to do anything but go spend 4 hours in Bob Devaney Sports Center. Like that's reality. Like
Right.
it's okay to admit that like you're not gonna want to go to practice every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I make an active decision like when I do that like as soon as I step into that gym, as soon as I walk into that locker room to get changed for practice, my attitude is going to completely change. I'm going to step out onto that court and I'm going to think, man, I don't want to be here today, but I'm here and I'm going to get my reps and I'm going to be mindful about everything. And I might not be able to give 100%
Mm-hmm.
physically. That might not be 100% there every day, but 100% here is going to be here. And I'm going to be actively trying to get better today. As soon as you step onto that court, you got to change and you got to be awesome. And those days happen, especially in like the long, grueling season. Like it's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. But I'd say most days, like I just go into practice just like so elated to be there, just because I have so much fun playing volleyball. Like I could be screwing up everything, and that is okay because I just have so much fun playing the sport.
Uh-huh.
Like I go into practice and I'm just so happy to be there most days, and I have so much fun with my teammates and just so much fun playing and exercising. I love just running around and getting all sweaty. It's so weird. I'm a weirdo, but I love it every single day. It's like I just feel so fortunate to get to do that.
The fact that you still bring fun into it, that's one of those key ingredients, right? When we talk about wanting to be the best, you get a chance to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
said, you're super mindful because you're telling us you just chose to have a good attitude by the time your foot steps the court, but you also
Mm-hmm.
were real and said, hey, I struggle too. How do you
Mm-hmm.
handle perfectionism? And then how do you view failure?
Okay. I think at some point in my life, I really viewed failure as, I keep on bringing like, like cliche things that people say, it was just like failure is learning. Like you don't lose, you either win or learn. But like, failure, something I've actually talked through with our sports psychologist on campus was learning how to not let others, let me rephrase that, is when you let other people have control over how you feel when you make mistakes, um, is non-judgment. And I thought that was something that was really interesting. And it's not saying that you do not have a lot of energy when it comes to playing volleyball, but like non-judgment in a way. So say I just get this great monster kill, best kill you've ever seen. I'm going to celebrate that, obviously. I'm going to tell my setter great set, but I'm not going to acknowledge that a kill any other way than I would acknowledge a ball I hit 20 feet out of bounds. When I react so positively to that kill, that's the correct thing, that's what I got to do every time, then in turn I'm going to react extremely negatively to that error. And therefore, every single time I make an error or I get blocked or I serve it out, my body is just like, it's like a response. Like my body's just gonna like crumble because I'm reacting so positively to those positive things. And so I think something that's really important is to understand how to bring non-judgment into play. Whereas like, sweet, I got a kill, that was a great swing, I'm gonna like put that in my toolbox, I'm gonna remember how I did that, I'm gonna celebrate
Mhm.
it, but I'm not going to treat it like it was the best thing I've ever done, like it was, like God sent, stuff like that, because then in turn you're going to react super negatively, and then that's going to really negatively impact yourself. So really practice that non-judgment. I remember that I wanted to bring up something that I've learned is like a difference between an expectation and a standard.
Mhm.
So we all have expectations. Being a perfectionist, you expect to do everything perfectly, you expect to never do anything wrong, all that stuff, all that jazz. But something you have to understand is like expectations aren't reality. Your expectations of how something is going to go is not realistic. It's almost 100% not going to go that way. So expectations, your coaches don't expect you to be perfect. Your teammates don't expect you to be perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. You cannot expect yourself to be perfect. However, there is still a standard of what you need to be doing and a standard of what is expected of you. That
Mm.
expectation is not perfectionism. That expectation is not never doing anything right. But there is a standard of always giving 100% of yourself to whatever you're doing in that moment. And I think that was something that was really important for me to learn when it comes to trying to fight my perfectionism and fight a negative attitude when I'm not performing perfectly, is that expectation's not realistic. However, there is still a standard of me to, no matter if I'm not digging a ball or I hit the ball out, I'm still giving 100% of myself to what I'm doing. I'm not going to change and I'm not going to go half. I'm not
Mhm.
going to give 70% of me. I'm not going to give 80% of me. For those 3 hours where I'm at practice or for that 3 hour game, I'm going to give 100% of me to that standard of what Nebraska volleyball or whatever team I'm playing for looks like. Um, it's not always going to be perfect. That expectation is not reality, but there's a standard of what you need to be doing.
For you, you give back to the sport. You love it.
Mm-hmm.
What legacy are you leaving? Or what do you want to be known for? If you could put it into 3 words.
Oof, 3 words.
I know you can do this.
um, I would say I want to be seen as fearless. I want to be seen as a challenger, and I just want to be seen as um, empathetic because I do have that really big heart, and not everything's about how you compete on the court.
Last thing for you to max out, right? When it matters most, what does that mean to you? And I'm not just talking about volleyball. It could be
Mm-hmm.
life, because right, we don't separate them.
I say when I'm maxing out, that just means that I am doing everything in my power while also allowing, the rest that you need to achieve something. Maxing out for me is really important no matter what you're doing. It could be schoolwork, it could be life, it could be relationships. But if you were giving 100% of yourself to a cause, it may not always work out. That's just reality. But it means that at the end of the day, you know in yourself that you are not going to have any regrets. You're not going to have any doubts that you didn't give all that you had. And I think regret is the number one thing that is the killer of happiness. And so when you just know that you have no regrets at the end of the day and that you did everything that you possibly can to achieve something, even if it doesn't work out, you're still going to be happy.